So, I've just spent pretty much my entire night. It is, I don't know, 1 a.m. in the morning, building this mess. This is the new harness for the Silvia. Insert some B-roll footage of me mocking everything up for the final test fit, but I'm most of the way there. I have a couple things left I need to get wired up. The ignition coil power from the factory fuse box feed, boost controller, and the coolant temp sensor, which I'm just waiting on the last connector for. But I can change that connector. I just need to see what I have. It's been kind of a pain in the ass process. I didn't need to do this. I really could have left the old harness that I had in the car in, but I wasn't happy with it. So we implemented a bulkhead connector. Everything is really nice with DR25. I mean, everything else is already done. Oh, and deciding the pressure sensor I want to use. I have a oil pressure temp combo sensor in here, but I'm out of IOs and I don't want to put my IC7 on this car. I want to put it in my blue car. We can now move on to wrapping up the fab work I need to do on the car. I've got a couple things we got to finish up there, and I kind of want to just redo the entire intercooler piping. More to come on that. We'll see what I want to do there, but for right now, I'm going to get this harness installed. Okay, so it's been a couple of days, and I got the harness all installed. See here, it's all installed. Linus had an issue with one of my connectors pulling out. I don't have one of the correct crimp tools for that specific connector, so easy enough, just change that out. Not a big deal. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and install the rest of my intercooler piping. I decided that I'm actually going to go ahead and use what I have. I know it fits. I'll be able to make it work without any issue. I ran this on a very similar setup on KAT with a different intercooler. I just need to modify one of the lower pipes. So I'm going to go ahead, get that all installed, as well as put the intercooler back on the car and see what it looks like. This is what the intercooler actually looks like bolted onto the car. So it uses, for the lower mount, it actually connects to one of the areas where the tension rod brackets go. So there's 2 mounting points on the bottom. I'll probably add one more on the top. I was gonna do a kind of like frame rail design where it was gonna go out and then in to mount up somewhere around there where the factory core support goes. But I'm just so limited on room, and I'll show you guys here what I mean. Okay, so I still have the factory core support on this car, and it is super tight. And I keep the factory core support just because the Silvia front bumper, how it mounts, it makes it so much easier to have this front core support. But this needs just adjusted a slight tad bit. I've got to just trim some areas still. But this is almost touching the front lower part of it, almost touching there, and it is very close to the top of this. I'm not worried about it putting a hole in the intercooler, but it is super close. This is about as big of an intercooler as you can really fit without chopping up a good amount of stuff. First hiccup that I'm running into is on this intercooler pipe right here. Looks like what I'm actually going to have to do is bring this in a bit and kind of move it out. So it's almost like it wants a little bit more than this 90-degree bend. So while some of my intercooler piping is working, it's seeming like I very well may need to just do lower intercooler pipes. Since I don't see how this is going to work. This one's seeming kind of like the same deal. It's a little better, but still sits a bit too far out, so that's going to have to be modified. And this one on this side is very close to working, but I got one problem with it. Well, two. Okay, so it seems like I have a bit of a problem with all of the intercooler piping I have. This is one I have for the driver side. This is one I have for the driver side. Problem is, it's got a blow-off valve flange on it, and the pipe actually needs to be shortened a bit. So this actually may work if I just cut here, like if I cut here and here, and just shorten it a bit. It should put this right about where it needs to be. So this one I'm probably going to build off of to use for the driver's side. Now on the passenger side, I have like 3 different intercooler types, and none of them seem like they're actually going to work. This one here is one of the ones I actually previously ran on the car. Doesn't fit. This intercooler sits out too far, and this pipe is going to go too forward because of the different intercooler piping setup that's on this car. Since it's a top mount SR, previously I was running this on a bottom mount setup. The next 2 pieces I have are things I found in like the learn to weld scrap pile. This one here, it's got a nice bend to it that might actually work. So part of this might be good. And then this one has that 45 angle I'd be looking for, where it's got that 45-degree angle that I'm looking for, where I could kind of angle this one and put this up, cut it and bead roll it, and well, you know, make metal go to metal. So certainly go ahead, try that, give it a shot. So I feel like I'm making some pretty good progress over this car the last couple of weeks. I just need to work on wrapping up my intercooler piping, as well as finish a couple of the small things with the wiring. 99% done with the wiring in the engine bay, and then need to wire up a fuel pump trigger. Got to modify this intercooler piping. I'll get some video of that. Put that here in the next video of wrapping up all the fabrication. And part of that fabrication is going to be me either building a new downpipe or modifying this Mazworks one that I have. Kind of tricky for that downpipe just because it does sit so low. I don't really want to cut it up. I want to see if I can still save it and maybe sell it. But we're going to have to just play that by ear. I already have the dump tube done. So a few things left. Just need to work on getting everything all sorted out. But that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to go ahead, wrap everything up here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.